It's all about the best, fighting the best.
We're fighting the best fighter in the world, and we're gonna kick his ass. I'm sorry, but good luck, Floyd.
I want everyone to tune in. Mayweather Pacquiao, the biggest fight in boxing history.
Don't miss the fight. Mayweather versus Pacquiao. Saturday, May 2nd at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, live on pay-per-view.
It's time. Two legends. One destiny. All roads end here. Mayweather-Pacquiao, May 2nd, live on pay-per-view. Mayweather-Pacquiao, Saturday, May 2nd, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, live on pay-per-view.
A throng of press from around the globe has assembled at the Mayweather Boxing Club in Las Vegas for Floyd Mayweather Media Day. Hello there, alongside HBO boxing reporter Kieran Mulvaney. I'm Showtime's Mauro Ranallo, and Kieran, it's being hailed as the Super Bowl of boxing, and yet it was catalyzed by a chance meeting at an NBA game with a big assist from Mother Nature. It's been wild, it's been wacky, it's been painstaking, and dare I say, it's been an interminable saga at times to get here. But now, my friend, we are just over half a month away. More than a half decade in the making, the long-awaited showdown between Floyd Money Mayweather at 47-0 with 26 knockouts and Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, 57-5-2 with 38 wins inside the distance. Your thoughts, my man?
You know, I've always told people that I think the fight should have been called the perfect storm, because it was because of weather that Manny Pacquiao was stuck in Miami and those two guys got a chance to meet and sort things out. You can just tell, we could tell from the press conference a few weeks ago when we had 600 credentialed media. You can tell here with the huge number of people inside and outside of the gym right now, the amount of attention that is being paid to this. People have been longing for this, waiting for this fight for 5 long years, and now it's only 2 weeks away.
The latest iteration of the fight of the century, and you're right, it's been so long since we have anticipated this fight. Originally, it's supposed to have been reportedly taking place March the 13th of 2010, and it's only fitting, I guess, that the press conference, the one and only press conference to kick off the proceedings, took place 2 days before that on what would have been the 5th anniversary. And yet, here we are now awaiting the arrival of Floyd Money Mayweather, the mythical pound-for-pound king. Has a habit of being fashionably late for these things, but once he gets started, he is always well worth the wait. What do you anticipate seeing in his open workout today?
Well, when you're the king, you get to keep your subjects waiting as long as you want to, right? And that's what Floyd does. He works to his own timetable. Look, everything Floyd does, there's an intensity about it. We'll see how much he decides to show us. He may have some tricks that he's been working on, and if he has, he's going to keep them to himself. He's certainly not going to show everybody. Certainly not going to let Manny Pacquiao and Freddie Roach, who may be watching this right now, have a look and see if they can learn anything. But, you know, whenever Floyd does anything, it's not just that he's a very skillful fighter, which he is. It's that he works incredibly hard. He's constantly in shape. He's constantly here in the gym. And I'm sure for however long he decides to work out, we'll see some pretty good intensity.
Now, speaking of Pac-Man, of course, we will be bringing you his media day tomorrow from Los Angeles. So it is specifically Mayweather-centric today. It's all about Floyd Money Mayweather, and it's all about those dollar signs. It's been termed the clash for all the cash, and it really is a lock to shatter all of the revenue records in boxing, of which Floyd Mayweather is a part of, coming off his showdown with Canelo Alvarez in September of 2013, where they generated close to $200 million in revenue. It's expected that they could double that for this fight. It's mind-blowing.
And of course, the reason for that, and we all focus on the money, and quite rightly so, because it's barely comprehensible. But the reason for that is that it's an incredible fight. It's a fight that people have been waiting for a long time. It's very rare that you have the very two best fighters in the world in the same weight class, meeting in the ring. Even rarer that they meet in the ring after keeping everyone salivating for 5 years and getting the anticipation going.
Of course, Floyd Mayweather yet to taste defeat in 47 professional fights. Manny Pacquiao has lost 5 times and is coming off the devastating knockout back in 2012 to his rival Juan Manuel Marquez. Took 11 months off. For a period of time, we didn't know if we were going to see the Pac-Man return. And yet, he has forged that intensity again, working with his longtime trainer, Freddie Roach, and has come back and reeled off 3 consecutive victories over the battle-tested Brandon Rios. It looked impressive in the rematch against Timothy Bradley, and then knocked down Chris Algieri 6 times in his last outing en route to another dominant unanimous decision. He looks a little different. He doesn't look as reckless or wild, the old Manny Pacquiao. How do you think that will serve him going into this, the biggest fight of both of their lives?
You know, back when we thought they were first going to meet in early 2010, I actually thought that one of the scenarios, even though everyone thought that maybe Pacquiao was the knockout guy, he was knocking people out, was that either he'd be able to overwhelm Floyd with volume and outpoint him, or he'd walk onto one of those Floyd Mayweather right hands and get knocked out. That's what happened to him in the end against Juan Manuel Marquez, and I kind of think that that's actually going to work to his advantage. The fact that he's had that experience, he's going to think a little bit more, he's not going to be as reckless, he's going to not stay that extra half beat in front of Floyd, in front of those big straight right hands that Floyd's very, very adept at throwing.
Now, Juan Manuel Marquez is a aggressive counterpuncher. Floyd Mayweather is a master counterpuncher, but not always with bad intentions. He's all about pinpoint accuracy, and I think that's going to be a part of this. Being the southpaw, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather 8-0 against southpaws, and we have a lot more to talk about his dealings with southpaws during his training camp when we bring you more coverage of this open workout. Stay tuned. We're going to be continuing with live coverage of the Floyd Mayweather Media Day here at the Mayweather Boxing Gym in Las Vegas.
out of town. And I saw your hotel. You know, I'm not going to make it. You know, I'm doing this Floyd thing and it hasn't Floyd. Let me know. Then I can take you home.
started on the top of the show. Hey, everybody, get out. Wrestling now, we hope. Same opening, just one month. Get us
They want you over there.
Okay.
Hey, Chris.
Sorry about that, guys, man. It's like a shit fest on. I had a guy put his camera on my head.
etiquette. Oh, if it's been there the whole time, then no, it just got
start from up there. Get up there. I feel like I'm breaking my toe. I got your move. You know the great thing is you can leave like your wallet with cash right there, no problem. I wouldn't. It probably would. I don't know about that. This thing.
Can't believe I made it here today. Made it. Made it. Made it. Look. Yes, look, you guys. As it turns out. Good. Poor girl. I feel bad going to give her to the car. Oh, yeah. I know. You're going to lead us through this, right? You don't expect me to remember all of what you're telling us. Okay. Yep. Okay, so we come off the cliff from Floyd, and then what happens? Okay. Sure. Okay, cool. See, I can hear myself right now. Is that me or what?
He needs to be on his live camera, live wires. I'm looking it up. 30 seconds of playback.
We welcome you inside the Mayweather Boxing Club in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, where plenty of capital is going to be involved in the fight that we've all been waiting for over a half decade in the making. It is now less than 2 weeks away from coming to fruition. Mayweather versus Pacquiao, May 2nd on pay-per-view. Alongside HBO boxing reporter Kieran Mulvaney, I'm Showtime's Mauro Ranallo. And Kieran, it's interesting that this is being hailed as the Super Bowl of boxing, yet it was catalyzed by a chance meeting at an NBA game with a big assist to Mother Nature.
Yeah, I always told people that I thought this fight should be called the perfect storm, because if it wasn't for that storm that kept Manny Pacquiao in Miami, these guys would never have met, and who knows what would have happened. We may not be here. The place that we've been waiting to be here now for a good 5 years and some, Manny Pacquiao taking on Floyd Mayweather.
Yes, 5.5 years in the making. What's an extra couple of hours in waiting for the mythical pound-for-pound king, Floyd Money Mayweather? He has arrived on the scene, and in just a moment we will be getting his open workout and seeing how he looks at 38 years of age in his 48th professional camp. But really, there was no need to do a lot of hype for a fight of this magnitude, a fight that has been marinating for as long as it has. There was one and only press conference. You were co-hosting it. It went down March 11th in Las Vegas.
I'm Mayweather, I always want to fight the best, and I'm pretty sure Manny wants to fight the best. It's an unbelievable fight, and the magnitude is crazy.
Finally, because it's 5 years in the making, the fans will love it. Thank you everyone for coming.
I've covered boxing for decades, and this is obviously the biggest press turnout you're ever going to see for a fight.
It's unprecedented. I've never heard anything like this.
To me, this is the biggest fight of our lifetime. I've covered boxing for 30 years.
This has become such a monster in its own right. It's an event that's taking over.
There are over 600 members of the media from around the world credentialed just for this press conference.
The fight is on and you're very excited. I know you're very excited and we will do our best to make you happy.
This is a fight that the world can't miss because I never wanted to win a fight so bad in my life. It's all about the best, fighting the best.
We're fighting the best fighter in the world, and we're going to kick his ass. I'm sorry, but good luck, Floyd.
I want everyone to tune in. Mayweather Pacquiao, the biggest fight in boxing history.
Don't miss the fight. Mayweather versus Pacquiao. Saturday, May 2nd at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, live on pay-per-view.
Of course, that press conference occurred in Los Angeles. We are in Las Vegas right now, Kieran, and again, you were on the scene, a convivial atmosphere, almost like the Academy Awards with over 600 media present outside for the red carpet arrival. A much more subdued affair when it came to the press conference. Did that shock you, surprise you at all?
Yeah, very much. It was a very interesting situation. You had more media there for that press conference than there were a lot of fights. Red carpet, the Goodyear blimp overhead, and then inside, when it actually came to the press conference, it was as if everybody was determined to be on their best behavior, not say anything that would rock the boat at this late stage, get through that press conference, get through a couple of media days, and let's get to the fight.
I think Freddie Roach, Pacquiao's trainer, has been the one guy that's tried to maybe engage in a little bit of that trash talking. I think one of the better lines he came up with is that Floyd better enjoy being the A side because Manny's going to put him on his backside. But yes, Manny Pacquiao, of course, always the modicum of class and professionalism, and for the most part, respect. Obviously, these two have had issues in the past in making this fight become a reality, but Floyd Mayweather, who has really embraced the money-made persona and almost enjoys wearing that black hat, was a little more subdued, almost with that zen-like focus during the press conference.
You know what I also felt? It felt to me is, even though these two guys have been in some really big events together, even though they've been in huge fights together, the magnitude of this was really weighing on them at that moment. They realized just how big this fight is. This is the fight that they've all been waiting for, that we've all been waiting for. And the size of it, again, accentuated by this media day, where you've got a couple of hundred different journalists from around the world here just to see Floyd work out.
Yeah, we've waited over half a decade for the fight to happen. What's a couple of more extra hours to have Mayweather arrive on the scene? And let's take a look at what went down when Floyd Mayweather finally made it here to the Mayweather Boxing Club. A huge throng in attendance, over 200 media outlets represented, over 300 people at the gym congregating in this intimate confines as he was addressing the print media, answering questions from the Fourth Estate, Kieran.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the kind of thing that Floyd thrives on, let's be honest.
So Floyd, how are you feeling today, first of all?
I feel great. I feel good, well rested. I feel solid. And I'm eating well, training well, so everything is going great.
Absolutely. It's such a big media day. All these people come here, all the fans. How big is this for you, this open workout?
I've done this for a long time now. It's great. It's great for the fans. It's great for the media. It's great for the different outlets. And I'm happy.
What will we see today in Floyd Mayweather when he works out?
A guy that's very, very focused, a fighter that's focused, a fighter that has a lot to prove. And like I said before, I had a tremendous career. 19 years, 18 years world champion. And my team, I commend my team and take my hat off to my team. My team done a remarkable job, outside the ring, while I continue to, get inside the ring and take care of business.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you do your business. Have a good day.
Appreciate it.
Pacquiao, Floyd.
So after spending time with the print media in a tent, he stepped into the ring here in Mayweather Boxing Club and addressed the television press, including the Showtime cameras. And of course, Kieran, Floyd Mayweather's used to big events. Prior to what will most assuredly be the richest fight in boxing history, he set the record against Canelo Alvarez back September 2013 at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Let's revisit some of the action. Here's round 5.
Interestingly, they both threw the same number of punches in the last round, 38, and landed the same number according to CompuBox. So very close round.
5th round begins. Floyd Mayweather in the blue snakeskin counter right hand connects on the jaw of Canelo Alvarez, who's in the green with red and white, sporting the Mexican colors. Mexican Independence Weekend. A huge congregation of Mexican-American fans in attendance for this mega event as Mayweather again looking to establish the jab. Alvarez goes to the body. Counter jab by Alvarez and sticks a shot to the body. And there's a right hand, very quickly delivered by Mayweather.
What's intriguing about this fight is Mayweather is not throwing the right hand, then moving away to his right, like he always does. He's staying there with Alvarez.
Yeah, he's using the jab a lot more, and against Guerrero, he used the lead right a lot, right, Paulie?
Both guys are now a little closer to each other. They're starting to find distance. They're getting more comfortable. They're about 6 inches closer than they were before. And what I mean by that is they were kind of at a distance, still measuring each other. Now that seems like they've both found each other's distance. They're both comfortable being closer and shooting their offense, and they're as well as being comfortable on defense from that close range.
This is Mayweather's third fight in the super welterweight division, facing Miguel Cotto and Oscar De La Hoya in the past. And again, he eats a couple of left hands and smiles at Canelo as he ducks underneath. And there's a rabbit punch. And a counter right, low by Canelo. But Mayweather continues to snap off the jab. And a jab from Canelo, a double jab, triple jab. You can jab, I can jab too.
Mayweather doing a very good job of counter-punching, but Canelo getting his share of body shots. And you look at the number of jabs, Mayweather, of course, landing at a high percentage and throwing a bit more, but Canelo is trying to establish the punch.
Now a USA champ begins, but it immediately gets drowned out by the boos of the Mexican contingent.
Pro Canelo crowd.
Yes.
Mayweather landing a couple of good shots there at close range.
Great right hand at close range by Mayweather with 30 seconds left in the fifth frame. A jab from Canelo. Mayweather strafes the body with left and right.
The difference in this match, not shockingly, has been the hand speed of Mayweather. And Canelo has good hand speed.
Yes, he does. It's the foot speed that's not in the same department. And yet they've stood right in front of each other for the most part.
They're both comfortable at this distance. They're both confident in their own defenses to be able to see the punches and counter from here. See, eventually you want to get just a little closer to be able to counter punch your opponent, because they're both not really lunging and leaning. So they got to be close enough to counter punch, because the other guy's not going to give up that distance.
And we are back here at the Mayweather Boxing Club alongside Kieran Mulvaney. We're joined now by the CEO of Mayweather Promotions, Leonard Ellerby. And Leonard, we just saw round 5 of the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Floyd Mayweather. Up to that point, the richest fight in boxing history. What impressed you most about Money May's performance against a bigger, younger Canelo Alvarez?
It was a flawless performance. Canelo, he was the young, up-and-coming champion that many in the public perceived that he had a great opportunity to defeat Floyd, and Floyd put on a clinic that night.
Leonard, obviously this is the biggest fight that Floyd's been in, that Manny's been in. How does it feel different in terms of preparation at the camp? I mean, are you feeling that it's the most difficult fight as well as the biggest and richest fight?
Not for Floyd's preparation or for us and me and my team. We've promoted the biggest fights, and Floyd's been in the biggest fight, so it's business as usual for us. The fans, with this being a highly anticipated fight for a number of years, I think that has come into play a lot, but we're used to seeing all this hoopla, the media, we're used to it, so it's just another day at the office for us.
I've heard that line over and over again, just another day at the office, no different, but look at this. There's 200 media from around the world, and yes, he's used to being under the spotlight. The record-breaking pay-per-view buy rate with Oscar De La Hoya, the Canelo Alvarez, yet this is a fight everyone has been waiting for. This is the fight to define the best fighter of a generation. How has Floyd handled that mentally?
It's normal preparations. I think but with the demand for the fight, that's kind of played into everything else. But Floyd he always trains the same for every opponent. He always comes in 100%. He's the best conditioned athlete, in my opinion, in all of sports. He's the only undefeated athlete over the last 17, 18 years, and I think that should be the focus. Manny Pacquiao, in my eyes, he's a tremendous fighter, 8-division world champion, and he's fought a number of great fighters in this era, and come May the 2nd, I think the fans are the winners.
Obviously, the reason that it is such a big fight, has been so anticipated, is you do have the two best fighters in the world coming together, and they've been the two best fighters in the world for several years now. When you look at Manny Pacquiao as a fighter, obviously there's a lot of respect there. What do you see in him that poses any kind of danger to Floyd?
Well, he's a fighter that has great speed. He's very awkward. He has a tremendous trainer. And I think that they'll come out with a great game plan, but I think it won't be. I know it won't be enough to offset what Floyd's bringing to the table on May the 2nd. But you know, just tune in. You know, the fans can go out and order pay-per-view right now as we speak, and order early because everyone's going to be trying to order as closer we get to the fight. So go to your local cable operator and order the fight now.
All right, we're being informed that Floyd Mayweather is getting his hands wrapped, those very valuable tools of his trade, Leonard. And in the past, he has had some issues with his hands. How does he maintain now at 38 and with his 48th professional camp? Is there extra attention paid to the way his hands are treated in terms of relaxation and recovery?
No, I think it's just about working smarter and not harder. As you get older, you know, you're making better decisions when it comes to your training, and he's a much more smarter fighter as it comes to his preparation. And he has the best hand wrapper in the game, the best cut man in the game, great trainers, and he's the best fighter of our generation.
What has he told you about this open workout with the eyes of the world now on him? I know he's one of the hardest workers in the gym, but what do you expect to see from him today?
He's the hardest worker in all of boxing and has been. He takes an opportunity for a day like today, media day. He's going to give you how he normally trains. He's not going to cut any corners. He's going to. This is a training session for him.
You talked about the differences that he's made in his preparation for fights as he gets older. Do you notice much of a change in the way he actually fights those fights to sort of accommodate the fact that, incredible shape as he is, incredible fighter as he is, he's still 38 years old? He's a little different fighter than he was who fought Diego Corrales, for example.
Well, it's more of the type of opponent that you fight. Floyd can fight any type of style that he chooses to fight. The reason why he's been able to last so long in this sport is because he's been a very smart fighter, not going out there and fighting reckless like some other fighters. He's a thinking fighter. He's the smartest fighter in the game. So he's able to make adjustments in a fight. He's able to make moves. He knows what he's going to do 4 rounds, you know, from now. You know, so he's able to dictate a pace to set you up, and that's what makes him such a dominant fighter.
He's very good at taking a couple of rounds in a fight, just sometimes even almost giving them away, sizing the person up, timing them, and then running the rest of the field. Do you think he's going to be able to do that against Manny Pacquiao? Or do you think he's maybe going to come out with something different?
No, I know for a fact that he'll be able to come out and dictate the pace based upon Manny's style. It's no secret on how Manny fights. He's a very aggressive fighter. He's a very exciting fighter, and I think that he makes a lot of mistakes. And Floyd will be able to exploit those mistakes from the opening bell. And I expect that we might see a knockout in this fight.
Interesting. I think a few folks have thought that maybe Floyd is going to step towards Manny and not be the kind of defensive fighter that we're used to seeing.
Well, a lot will play out how both fighters come out from the opening bell. But if Floyd sees the opportunity, I know for a fact that he'll finish him off.
All right, Leonard Ellerbe, the CEO of Mayweather Promotions. A lot of sleepless nights in building up to this event, or are you guys sleeping like a baby knowing what's at stake?
Well, I haven't personally been asleep in 2 days.
Why's that?
Well, it's a lot of work to do, and it always is a lot of work to do. That's the reason why we've been promoting all his fights, and the level that we're operating in it's a lot of work, and I can't say enough. I'm very thankful. I have a wonderful team that's working around the clock, and we're just excited to be part of history.
Well, we're excited to be a part of it as well, Leonard. Thank you very much.
Thank
Best
you
of
for
luck.
having me, Mauro.
Leonard Ellerbe, the CEO of Mayweather Promotions, and Kieran, obviously a man who's been very busy, instrumental in putting this fight together. There have been so many moving pieces, and we know about the politics of boxing, but it's so nice to know that we are here at this time, just over 2 weeks away from this legendary showdown finally coming to fruition as Floyd Money Mayweather at 47-0, 26 knockouts against Manny Pacquiao, 57-5-2 with 38 knockouts, the 2 best fighters in their weight class, determining the best fighter of their era.
That's what I love about this fight. It's not just to see who's the best welterweight in the world right now. When you have a fight like that, that's pretty exciting. When you have the 2 best guys pound for pound in the world fighting each other, that's pretty exciting. It's the 2 best fighters of their generation meeting, and then by about midnight on May the 2nd, one of these guys is going to be the 2nd best fighter of the generation, and one of them is going to walk away victorious knowing that they have the crown.
The Marquess of Queensberry rules were written in 1865. It's 150 years now of professional prize fighting, on the verge of the richest fight in history. And of course, comparisons are going to be made. What do you compare this fight to?
It's really difficult, obviously, to compare fights across eras. There were times where boxing was so much bigger as a sport, or it played a much more significant role in society. You had huge fights in the past. Jack Johnson against Jim Jeffries, Muhammad Ali
the
against
first fight of the century.
Exactly. Muhammad Ali against Joe Frazier, the next fight of the century.
Yes.
This is certainly the fight of this century. It's in terms of how big the fight is in relation to where boxing is in society, it's certainly one of the very biggest of all time. I'm sure it's the same with you, Maro. For the last 5 years, the only question I get asked by people when they find out what I do is, when are Mayweather and Pacquiao going to fight?
And talking about historical context, Floyd Mayweather said it reminded him of when he was young in 1987, Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard. In many ways, similar, because you have Hagler, an aggressive southpaw coming forward, Leonard, an exquisite boxer, and a fight that also took a long time for it to finally come to fruition. Leonard coming out of retirement. Let's hope we get a more definitive conclusion in this fight.
Yeah, well, Mayweather would say it reminds him of that, because the boxer won that fight, and that's exactly the situation he's going to be looking for as well. Interestingly, tomorrow is the 30th anniversary of Marvin Hagler against Thomas Hearns, another classic and the really big fight pantheon. Yeah, 8 minutes of hell, absolutely. And those guys, it's a difference to show fights in the social media era. This is the only media event that Floyd is going to have before fight week. Marvin Hagler and Thomas Hearns had 20 different stops on a barnstorming trip across the United States. Different time, different era.
All right, over 200 media outlets represented. We bring in Greg Bishop. Greg, how are you, sir?
See you. Doing well, thank you.
So, what do you make of all of this?
I think it's just another day at the Mayweather gym in some respects. Although, I've been to a few fight camps now. It hasn't been quite this intense, I don't think I've ever seen a catered media day before, and I don't think I've ever seen quite this many reporters around.
I mean, you've been here, I think you shipped up in Las Vegas to spend pretty much the month leading into the fight here. And so how many times have you been able to come around here? Is it easy to get access? Are you struggling, or what?
It's been interesting. We're basically set up for a month. Sports Illustrated rented a house, and we're about 6 miles from the gym. So I've been asking every day if I can come out. I've made it in, I think, 6 days since the beginning of last week. He referenced that in the presser today when he said I'd been around a while, but I wouldn't say it's been easy by any stretch, and every day I got to ask if I can come.
Understandable, though, really, given what's at stake, right? This isn't just another fight. This is as big as it gets.
One thing I think I picked up from this training camp is just how focused he is. I mean, he's been really lasered in. You haven't seen as much. When you come in previous camps, he's always talking about, his legacy or the other fighter, or making fun of somebody or poking fun at them. And in this camp, he's been very serious. Every day that I've been here, he's not interacting a ton with people other than the trainers, and he just seems very lasered in. I think that speaks to exactly what you're saying, the impact and the magnitude of the fight.
But do you think that in itself is a form of mind games, that he's decided to do that, or is it strictly because he feels, hey, this fight is selling itself?
No, it's a great question. I think it's part of both. Part of it's mind games. It's saying, I'm serious, I'm into this fight, I understand what it represents in terms of my legacy and my boxing career. And I think part of it is he realizes that this isn't like the other fights. He doesn't have to be Money Mayweather. He doesn't have to have the character that he always has. And the fight will sell itself. I think you see that today with just how many people are standing behind us.
Cover the sport for Sports Illustrated and other publications. What about the business of Floyd Mayweather? You've done a good job of covering that as well. Why is he the highest paid athlete on earth?
I think what Floyd did a few years ago is he really took control of his financial structure. I mean, the way he gets paid, I think, is pretty unique in all of sports. You're talking about a guy who gets a percentage of every hot dog sold in the arena, who gets a percentage of every t-shirt sold in the arena. He likes to say, that's all Mayweather money. I want all of that. And I think part of that comes from working with Al Heyman for so many years. I think part of it comes with having been with Top Rank before. I think he's been around some very astute business minds in boxing, and he took it and carried it to another level.
What do you think will be the final result in terms of revenue? I mean, we hear totals of grossing $400 million, Floyd making a minimum of $120 million, Manny making $80 million. I mean, Floyd could make in one night what some sports franchises pay their entire roster in a season.
Right. Last week there were 24 Ferraris outside. They had parked themselves to see Floyd Mayweather because that's what happens. And I noted to him that he could have made that much money in half of a round, in the fight upcoming. There was $5 million worth of cars out there. I think $400 million, those things don't seem absurd to me. It doesn't seem unrealistic. You look at the total pot, if you're going to charge $100 in pay-per-view and you might get $3.5 million, $4 million buys, the foreign rights, it's all insane. And so, people here at the gym, they think he might make upwards of $180 million for this fight. I think that's probably a little bit exaggerated, but if he made 120, that's not much of a small consolation.
Well, he and Oscar De La Hoya teamed up for the biggest pay-per-view in boxing history back in 2007, 2.4 million pay-per-view buys. What's your prediction on this one? Over 3 million?
Yeah, in fact, I would put the over-under closer to 3.5. I think 3 million is going to be done, and then I think you're looking at, if it gets over 3.5, over 4, that's when people are really happy.
Oh, yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. And now for the business of the fight, of course, the reason it's so big is because it's a good fight. How do you see the fight itself shaping up?
I think I like Mayweather. I think it'll be a close fight. I'm interested, I think, like most people, to see Manny and the way he's able to get in close and hit people from so many various angles and really apply pressure. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of people do that to Floyd Mayweather. A lot of people have said that's what they're going to do when they fight Floyd Mayweather. Very few are able to sort of counteract that and get inside. But I think ultimately we're looking at what we've seen for a few years here, which is a Mayweather decision that maybe is a little controversial for the way that he approached the fight, or whether or not he engaged enough. And I think we're going to see a similar kind of result here, but you never know.
Do you think there's also a possibility, we were just talking to Leonard Ellaby about this, that Floyd might actually be a little bit more aggressive than he's been in the past, knowing that going into that shell defense isn't necessarily going to work against the guy who's just, moving in and out and hitting him with combinations, that he's going to use his superior size, his superior jab, maybe try and keep Manny on the back foot a little bit.
And I think that's one thing he said a couple times in the last couple of weeks, is that this is the first time he's fought a guy that's smaller than him in a long time. And so I think, yeah, you could see some more of that. You might see him take a few more chances. You might see him work the reach a little bit more. And, I think Manny and them are preparing for that as well. But to me, we almost lose the style of this fight could be so interesting because we're so interested in everything else. We care about everything outside of this and the money that's going to be made and Floyd's cars outside and Cliff Kingsbury and David Hasselhoff and Little Kim. And, we kind of forget that, like, stylistically, these are two of the best fighters ever. And they're very interesting to watch, and they match up in very different ways. And to me, the fight itself and how it unfolds would be really, really interesting just for that alone. Like, strip away all the hype and everything I'm going to write about for the next 3 weeks, and let's just watch the fight itself. I think it'll be fascinating.
I think that is one of the big keys, though, the fact that Mayweather 1.5 inches taller, the 5-inch reach. Going to be interesting to see how the speedy southpaw Pacquiao is able to deal with it. Look forward to more of your coverage as well, my friend. Thank you so very much. Greg Bishop from Sports Illustrated joining us here. It's a cavalcade of media, Kieran. There are media outlets from around the globe. This is one of the biggest events. A Super Bowl of boxing, and it's good to get insight from all over the world. We've done interviews with Philippine media and getting their slant on things, and of course we'll be bringing you all of the Manny Pacquiao story tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 Pacific. But right now it's all about Floyd Money Mayweather, and I believe we're just a few minutes away from him getting in the ring. But let's go back to when he did get in the ring in 2001. And really what was, to me, one of his best performances from an offensive standpoint when he took on the bigger, previously unbeaten, Diego Corrales.
Fighters like Sugar Ray Robinson.
Well, there's a brilliant start to round 7.
5, 6, 7.
The super quickness of Floyd Mayweather produces a knockdown to begin the 7th round. And if Corrales had any thought whatsoever of trying to come back and win a decision, that should put him into that. He's lost the first 6 rounds. Now he's facing a 2-point round in the 7th.
Mayweather now stops to recollect himself now. That's what you want to do with a puncher. He gets back on his feet. He's going to hurt you. Get your legs back under you. Take a deep breath and do it all over again what you did first. Coming down and just goes right into the left hook of Mayweather.
You knew coming in that Mayweather had a quickness advantage. I'm just not sure how many of us expected it to be this dramatic and this graphic. I mean, this has been a wipeout and a brilliant performance by Floyd. But you wonder if Corrales, in getting back down to 130 pounds...
Oh no. It's been a masterful job here. This has been a job of pure boxing. Pure boxing.
So it doesn't matter which condition anybody's in.
No, I agree with George. As much as it is a disadvantage for Corrales to have to come down to 130, it doesn't look the way this fight is going. It would make any difference at 135 or 140.
I think I have to agree with that. At any of these weights, Mayweather would be quicker and more skillful.
Right. Corrales still has the power.
So we won't count him out yet.
No. All you got to do is get Mayweather too overconfident, start trying to mix it up with this puncher, and Mayweather can be getting off the canvas himself.
And he's got to find a way to apply the power if he's going to change the course of the fight, and he hasn't gotten anywhere near it, throwing an average of less than 25 punches per round.
I often say it, if you want to be a good fighter, forget about the left jab. If you want to be a great fighter, that's the best punch in boxing. Corrales has not used the jab all night.
And the second knockdown of the round for Mayweather. And the accumulated punishment by Corrales has left, or by Mayweather, has left Corrales woozy on his feet in the 7th round.
There is no 3 knockdown rule. There are 20 seconds left in the round.
And there's the 3rd knockdown of the round.
5, 6.
And you cannot be saved by the bell, but it looks as though Corrales will have a chance to at least make it out of the round. 3 knockdowns in the 7th.
A rare fistic fireworks display from Floyd Money Mayweather, dropping the bigger Diego Corrales 3 times in that round. He dropped him a total of 5 times before Corrales' corner mercifully stopped it in round 10. What also struck me in that fight was that Mayweather landed more punches than Corrales even attempted.
Yeah, and what was interesting was going into that fight, a lot of people thought Diego had what it took to beat Floyd.
Much taller, much bigger.
Exactly, much bigger guy, and then Floyd just toyed with him with a really, I think we both agree, as you said earlier, probably his career best performance so far, and maybe he's going to have to do, it'll be a different type of performance, but another career best performance to do to Manny Pacquiao, what he did to Diego Corrales.
And that's the real question here is what kind of a fight are we going to see? There are so many scenarios, everybody weighing in with their opinions, pundits, fans, celebrities alike. When you look at this matchup taking place right now, what we've seen in the recent history, Floyd Mayweather against Marcos Maidana twice last year. In their first meeting, Maidana able to bully Floyd, able to be all over him with more angles than you see in a geometry set a la a Manny Pacquiao. Able to land more punches, 221, than anyone else has ever landed on Floyd, but yet Floyd able to make those adjustments, going down the stretch, able to pull out the victory, controversially in some views. In the rematch, again, Maidana throwing a lot more punches than Mayweather, but Mayweather's accuracy, it's uncanny, it's impeccable, and he was able to again just outbox Maidana and prove who is boss against Manny Pacquiao, who's the quickest guy I think he's ever going to face. A southpaw, and let's face it, even though he's 8-0 against left-handers, we know what happened against Zab Judah, what's happened against DeMarcus Chop Corley. What do you see happening in this fight?
Well, I think what's very interesting, first of all, to go back to the Maidana aspect, is that we tend to grade Floyd against his own curve, right? Right. Like, a guy hurts him for a few rounds and loses, 8 of the 12 rounds, and we think, wow, Floyd got shown up a little bit, and that's how dominant that he's been in a lot of his fights. And I think that's the intriguing element about this, is that for me, it's not just Manny's hand speed, that he's up against the guy who perhaps has actually better hand speed in terms of throwing combinations than Floyd does now, but it's his foot speed. What's going to be really interesting now is the footwork of the two. Has Floyd slowed down a little bit with his footwork? I think most people would say that he probably has.
Well, Freddie Roach believes he has.
Exactly.
And that's the key then to cutting off the ring and getting Floyd on the ropes, putting him in that corner, because once Floyd sets up shop in the center of the ring, his office, that's his domain, and that's where he's able to use his incredible defensive prowess and counter. And let's face it, we've talked about what happened. Juan Manuel Marquez knocking out Manny Pacquiao back in 2012, and Manny Pacquiao taking an 11-month hiatus before returning, winning 3 in a row. But when you look at Juan Manuel Marquez, he's an aggressive counterpuncher. When he counters, it's to knock you out. Exactly. Floyd, it's more about scoring, more about making sure that you know who is the boss in terms of that area of the fight. Can Floyd knock out Manny Pacquiao?
Well, we've seen Floyd's best weapon right now is probably that straight right. We've seen Manny Pacquiao get knocked out by a straight right. Now, look, the problem is Manny Pacquiao is incredibly difficult to time. It took Juan Manuel Marquez 41 rounds to figure out how to time him properly. That's got to be the thing, and I think the key for Manny Pacquiao is to be able to dart in and out, never give Floyd the same look twice, because if he gives him the same look twice, that's when he's going to be in trouble. Because Floyd, see, I'm a science fiction nerd, he's like the Borg, right? You have one shot at him, and if you miss that shot, that's it. Floyd's going to come and get you.
Well, the right hand, of course, public enemy #1 to the southpaw, and when you look at other aspects of fighting a southpaw, the shoulder roll defense, his vaunted shoulder roll defense, not always successful against the southpaw because of the fact that straight left hand is coming. And when you look at other aspects of Floyd Mayweather, the pull counter, the pull and where he counters the right hand again against the southpaw, different looks, different wrinkles, and that's what makes this fight so captivating and so intriguing.
And that's again why I think we're going to see something a little bit different from Floyd Mayweather, because Floyd is one of the smartest guys in the ring. It's not just his ability, it's not just his shape, it's the fact that he's really smart. He sees what's coming, and he's going to work that out.
It's funny you said that, because that was a quote that really impressed me. He says he feels when someone is about to throw a punch. Like you say, he sees the punch coming before the guy even thinks about throwing it, and that's a gift.
Right, but the corollary is there's only one Manny Pacquiao. There is nobody like Manny Pacquiao. Floyd Mayweather is 47-0 right now. He's not once for anyone even remotely like Pacquiao, and that's going to make the big difference.
They haven't faced anyone like who they will be facing on Saturday, May 2nd, 9 o'clock Eastern, on pay-per-view from the MGM Grand Garden Arena, a venue that has housed so many of their memorable moments. For Floyd Mayweather, his 14th fight at MGM. He quips that MGM stands for Mayweather Gets Money. Boy, does he ever. And for Pacquiao as well, he had his coming out party in America against the Ledwaba, when, of course, he hooked up with Freddie Roach on short notice and impressed everyone, winning a title back in 2001, and what he's been able to achieve since then. So MGM Grand Garden Arena is where this fight is going to be taking place on May 2nd, and obviously a place both are comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Manny's fought, I think 21 pay-per-view headliners. He's certainly been there plenty of times. Most of his time has been at the MGM. Floyd's been at the MGM. There's not going to be any surprises there at the venue for either guy.
All right, let's bring in Lance Pugmire of the LA Times, who's done a tremendous job of following this painstaking, dare I say, interminable saga over the years. Lance, did you ever think this day would come?
I actually had a pretty good feeling that it would happen. Right before the Pacquiao fight in November, we got word that Bob Arum was saying that Leslie Moonves from CBS had entered the picture and could be like a key negotiator, key mediator, which all along these two guys never had. They never had a sort of middleman that had the great respect of both parties. Moonves was that guy, and he really brought these parties together, got the deal done. At the end of the day, it took a long, painful time, but after 5 years, the fight's finally here.
How important do you think that meeting in Miami was at the end of the day, though? Because even after all those negotiations, there still seemed to be a lack of trust, a lack of certainty on either side. And it was only when everyone saw the two fighters talking to each other, making it clear they wanted the fight, that it really moved into another level, it felt.
Absolutely. I think that the two of them looking each other in the eye and seeing that both of them and saying the words like, look, I really want the fight. Yes, I really want the fight as well. No BS here. Let's lay down all the stuff that's on the outside and strike the deal ourselves. This is what I want. Okay, this is what I want. Okay, let's do it. And then at the end of the day, it was the players could just, do what the fighters were asking them to finalize.
We understand Floyd Mayweather is putting on his gloves, always fashionably late, taking his sweet time, but always putting on a show when it comes to what happens inside that squared circle. In looking at this training camp, we've seen a little bit of the old school. He's gone back to chopping wood like his dad made him do when he was, just starting. He started with a sledgehammer and a tire at 10, and by 14 he was chopping wood, but then he stopped when he and his father had their first breakup in his early 20s. Why do you think he's gone back to something like that for this fight?
It's really about increasing strength, increasing upper body strength. I mean, Floyd is going to need to survive the toughest punch that Pacquiao can throw at him if it lands. And then also, look, he's talking about, I think I can stop this guy. He leaves himself vulnerable enough. He's a reckless fighter. He has said that several times. And he thinks that, hey, if I can land a great Floyd Mayweather punch or flurry, I can take this guy out, especially with this added strength.
We talk about old school. There's also some new school. This cryotherapy, the cryosauna, where he spends 1 to 3 minutes in this chamber with air and liquid nitrogen. It gets as low as minus 250 degrees Fahrenheit, which of course is used to oxygenate the blood and help recover from a workout. What do you think about something like that?
It's just anything that these guys can do for added energy, added endurance. I mean, this is all about, is either of these guys going to fatigue in this fight? Both of them are working very hard to make sure that that doesn't happen because they're both conditioning dynamos. Floyd, it's nothing for him to spend 3 hours in here. Same thing with Manny. He's in the gym all the time, working ad nauseum, and it's just, I think that that's one of the great things about this fight. If it does go the distance, who has the most in those deep water rounds to really win this fight?
Do you think Floyd has slowed down?
I think he's at age 38. Yes, he's slowed down from what he was at 30 years old, of course. But look, I mean, he's a smarter fighter. He's been through all these wars. He's been through all these fights. He's seen all these things. All these great fighters have come at him with everything they've got. He's handled it, and now he's ready to face the ultimate test.
We were talking to Leonard Ellaby earlier, and he was saying, look, it's just another day at the office. It's the same old, same old. It isn't the same old, and they know it isn't the same old, right? Do you get the sense that not only do they know this is the biggest event of Floyd's career, but it's potentially the toughest fight of his career? They have real respect for Manny Pacquiao, don't they?
Yeah, I think that for both of these guys, they are facing, no doubt, their most difficult, strenuous test that they have ever seen in their life. And that's why you're seeing... regardless of what Floyd says about it, he's not cut off access to the media. He has. Mental focus, mental preparation for this fight, envisioning how the fight is going to progress over 12 rounds. These guys are all in on preparation, knowing, they've never faced an opponent this talented.
I mean, Floyd obviously fashions himself as the best ever, makes a big deal of that 0 at the end of his record. Losing to Manny Pacquiao, the guy who's been his big rival for the last 5 years, would be devastating for him, wouldn't it?
It would be a very humbling blow. I mean, I think it's a humbling blow that gets cushioned by the great deal that Mayweather has struck for himself. I mean, when you're talking about $200 million being earned for this fight, and the obvious possibility that if Mayweather wins this fight, if Pacquiao wins this fight, there will likely be a rematch.
Great job, as always. We look forward to your coverage in the LA Times. Lance Pugmire joining us here, and we'll let you get ready to cover this event as Floyd Mayweather has made his way into his office, Kieran, and is gearing up and getting ready for this open workout. Again, a huge throng of media in attendance. We'll get an opportunity to see where he is with just over 2 weeks remaining until the big anticipated showdown on Saturday, May 2nd from the MGM Grand Garden Arena, when Money Mayweather finally faces off with Manny Pacquiao for the Unified Welterweight Championship of the World. And of course, more money than you and I will ever dream of seeing, my friend. The clash for all the cash, as it's being called.
I've dreamed of seeing that much money. Trust me. I'm not sure I can actually envisage it in my dreams, but I've certainly dreamed about it. Yeah, like you said, this is his office, right? This is what he does. He spends all his time here. Part of the reason for his success, he's very naturally talented, of course, but the guy works like a demon. He's never out of this gym. It'll be interesting to see what he decides to show us. Like Lance and Greg were saying, they've cut off access to the media. They're not showing too much. They don't want to give away any secrets. He'll probably have a pretty good workout. He'll want to show the kind of shape that he's in, but he's also, at the same time, he's not going to show any tricks or give anything away.
Yeah, and he has actually opened up sparring to his inner circle and members of the media in the past. Conversely, and we'll talk more about this tomorrow when we'll be in Los Angeles for Manny Pacquiao's open workout, Pacquiao has decided to shut down his sparring sessions leading up to this, and something his trainer Freddie Roach agreed with, that because of all the distractions and all the demands on his time, he feels it has really helped him focus. What do you read into that?
It's kind of interesting as you talk about that there are these two incredibly successful fighters, and all of the things that they've done that have given them this great success, they're doing the opposite of this fight. It's like, however good we've been, and with all the preparation we've done to this point, we need something different, so let's try something different. The recognition on both guys' part that this isn't just another fight, this isn't just a big earning fight. This is a huge career-defining fight for both men.
All right, so we are set. Floyd Mayweather is in the ring, and he begins his open workout here at Mayweather Boxing Club. So, Kieran, we just saw Money Mayweather hitting the mitts with his uncle Roger. Of course, Mayweather family affair when it comes to the sweet science. Floyd born into the boxing business. His dad, who is back in his corner now as his head trainer, was a welterweight contender. His uncle Roger, a champion. His other uncle Jeff, a champion. Talk about the lineage of the Mayweather family and how that's helped him get to the point he's at now.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's pretty unusual to actually have both a father and an uncle and a son, both also successful. Obviously, none of them can really hold a candle at all to Floyd Jr. as a professional. Roger was a pretty darn good professional prize fighter, like you said, won a couple titles. But Floyd obviously has taken it onto a whole other level. But, you know, when you grow up around it, when it's just an incredibly natural thing for you, when you're putting on gloves when you're 3 or 4 or 5 years old, and it's something that's just going to seep into you very naturally. And you see that's why Floyd has that ease in the ring and in the corner with Roger and with Floyd for all the fights that they have outside the ring, particularly Floyd and his dad. When necessary, they work real well together, and you know, those are the guys that he trusts, those are the people he wants in his corner.
We live in a world of reality shows. I think there should be a reality show dedicated to boxing fathers and their sons, the trainer and son. I mean, look at all of the dynamics that we've seen with the Garcias and of course with the Mayweathers, and there's so many other father-son tandems, Guerreros. It doesn't always work. Here, we've seen Floyd and his dad have issues in the past, and Roger, a more offensive-minded trainer, and Floyd Sr., all about making him miss, making him pay a real student of the sweet science.
You know, and here's the other thing, that Floyd is all about doing what needs to be done for his career. He was perfectly happy to jettison his dad and work with Roger when he felt that Roger was the best guy in his corner for a while. And then after the Cotto fight, when he felt he was getting hit too much against Miguel Cotto, exactly that, like you said, and partly adding to that as well the fact that Roger has been going through some health issues. He was fine. Like he says, I love my Uncle Roger, I love my dad, but right now I need my dad back. Now Roger and Floyd Sr., of course, they'll go back and forth over who's the real trainer and who's the one who's actually the person doing all the work. But that's all part of that strange family dynamic.
We're watching him work the body now, and I think that is going to be something that will be key in the fight against Pacquiao as well, the body jab and just trying to slow down the hyper-aggressive Pac-Man.
Remember, George Foreman in particular was always one who was really big on talking about the importance and the lack of use in many prize fighters of the good stiff jab to the chest. You know, just
we saw Maidana do it against Adrian Broner, that set up the left hook.
Exactly. And I think, you know, Floyd's going to have the superior reach, he's going to have the superior height. That's going to have to be what he's going to try to do. He needs to keep Manny Pacquiao out of range. He needs to make sure that Manny can't get in, can't get under, and start working those combinations that Manny is going to want to work. He is absolutely going to have to work on keeping this fight at distance and making Manny, in a sense of desperation, then walk on to the counter shots that are going to be coming his way.
And we've seen in the past with Mayweather, the jab usually is to set up that impeccable right hand as a rangefinder, can use it effectively, but with Manny Pacquiao, he actually uses it as a power jab following a straight left. So when we discuss and analyze the jabs, of course, basic fundamentals of boxing 101, how important do you think the jab will be come May 2nd?
Well, yeah, look, the jab is always the fundamental jab, fundamental punch in any kind of fight, really. Again, another thing that Foreman said: if you want to be a very good fighter, don't use your jab. If you want to be a great fighter, use it all the time.
Floyd Mayweather making the move to the heavy bag and switching up the gloves here, Kieran. Of course, they'll be wearing 8-ounce gloves May 2nd as part of the contract negotiations. They will each get to wear their respective gloves. We won't have the glove gate that we saw during the Maidana affair.
Yeah, it was part of the whole element of putting this together and why it took so long and, relatively speaking, was agreed quite close to the fight, was that they had all these particular details to iron out. I mean, these are two superstar fighters, and they're, Manny was quite happy to accede to a lot of the big demands, but there are certain things, Manny's very superstitious, he's very comfortable with his gloves, he wanted to keep his gloves, and it wasn't going to be the fight if he didn't get to keep his gloves, and likewise with Floyd. So all these little details are the stuff that have to get sorted out.
Of course, Mayweather working with 10 sparring partners, including 2 of his former opponents, 2 former champions, 2 southpaws in DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley, who says he's never seen Floyd more focused, and Zab Judah, who many people have brought up the fact that being a speedy southpaw has some similar attributes to Manny Pacquiao and what we saw in those first 2 rounds when Judah fought Mayweather and really took the fight to Mayweather. There is some correlation, there isn't there, as to what maybe we can expect from a guy who's, let's face it, that much better, that much quicker than Zab Judah, with all due respect to the former champion in Manny Pacquiao. And Zab Judah told us that since that time, in being in this camp, he feels Mayweather is 10 times better, and is actually, I was very impressed with the line he used. He says it's like Floyd Mayweather enters your body and then uses it against you. He calls him a scientist, and really that's what it is.
Yeah, it's a little bit like Neo in the Matrix, isn't it? Everything kind of slows down, you see it all coming. A lot of folks have said, especially when it looked like this was going to be announced, oh, it should have happened 5 years ago, it's too late, it doesn't matter anymore. In a strange way, I find it's a little bit more of an interesting fight now than it might have been in 2010. Both guys are a little bit diminished physically, they're not quite the same. They should be. One's 38, one's 36, I mean, you'd expect. But at the same time, they've learned more, perhaps through making mistakes in Manny Pacquiao's case, just from learning in Floyd Mayweather's case. They're a lot smarter. I think it's going to be a lot more cagey. We're going to see each guy doing his best to try to impose himself in the early stages. And
can you say Thrilla in Manila? Remember Ali Frazier 3, diminished, but yet produced one of the maybe the best heavyweight title fight ever.
Right, precisely. Not least because they just couldn't get out of each other's way.
Right.
And will we see anything that exciting? Well, it's one can hope. Given the number of eyes that are going to be on this fight, you obviously want it to be as exciting a fight as it possibly can be. And one of the interesting things about it, I think, is that it's really legitimately easy to see a variety of different scenarios.
Really what makes it so compelling, and really the epic clash of styles, and with Manny Pacquiao again, who we will be covering in full effect tomorrow from Los Angeles in the Wild Card Gym at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 Pacific. Right now, you continue to watch Floyd Money Mayweather work the heavy bag, and really, it is just another day at the office for the champ.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing, isn't it? Just the, whatever you feel about Floyd as a fighter or whatever, you cannot possibly put a black mark on his dedication, the amount of work that he does. Whatever the hour of day. I mean, I would not want, I'm sure he's very generous. I'm sure he's very generous with his employees, but I would not want to be the guy who gets the 3:30 a.m. call, Kieran, I'm going running, you got to come with me, which is part of life with Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, he's training now like he did in his 20s, and we've heard it throughout the stream and throughout the build-up that at this age it is all about training smarter, not necessarily harder, and now here working the heavy bag, able to discern anything.
Well, I think he's dialing it back for us a little bit. I think he's not he's not putting on any great flashy combinations for us. He's doing just kind of what you would expect for him. Floyd Mayweather, I think a lot of this is kind of a warm-up to what he really does, right? I mean, he goes in, he'll do a little bit of pad work, he'll do a little bit of bag work. I mean, let's be entirely honest, he could wait till we've gone and then come back for another 3 or 4 hours. So I think the bodyguard behind him looks like he goes to the gym a few times as well, actually.
So getting up close and personal with the champ, although I think he'd like the cameras to move a little bit. as he continues to work the heavy bag. A huge crowd, and as we mentioned, throughout 200 media outlets from around the world. As my Showtime sports colleague Steve Farhood so astutely put it, Saturday, May 2nd, the world will stop. And there have been other occasions in the history of the sport. We've talked about Ali Frazier 1 and what that meant to undefeated heavyweight champions, and really a fight that transcended the sport, both culturally and in terms of the sport, and throughout the sport's history. The big fights, there has been that cultural connection. What about the rematch between Joe Louis and Max Schmeling, where you had fascist Germany against the democracy, and Joe Louis becoming the first bona fide African-American hero to American sports fans? But that's not so much here, but we still, in the eyes of the fans, Kieran, we do have the good guy and Manny Pacquiao, who is an icon in his native Philippines, a politician who is a philanthropist and loves to help his people, whereas Floyd Mayweather takes care of his own, but is not above showcasing his wealth. Yes. What about Floyd Mayweather and how he's perceived? Here's a guy who is the highest paid athlete on earth, yet doesn't have any endorsements, and embraces that polarizing persona. Used to be Pretty Boy Floyd, then against Oscar De La Hoya, where he was the B-side, but defeated De La Hoya in their huge fight back in 2007, setting the pay-per-view record, became Money Mayweather, and we've seen him trash talk other opponents and do it inside the ring. And I know that Freddie Roach has said that he has his sparring partners of Pacquiao who are trash talking him in the ring. We haven't seen that side here. Is he saving it for the actual fight, or are we seeing a completely different Floyd Mayweather because of what truly is at stake? And does he care?
Yeah, I think he's not wasting it, right? He's what's the point in doing all of that right now? What's the point in saying anything about Manny? What's the point in trashing it? He wants to build up the fight, right? He wants to give every impression that he regards Manny Pacquiao as a very, very serious opponent, which he clearly does. When it comes down to it, in the ring, then maybe there's going to be an entirely different thing. And I think he's also quite aware of who Manny Pacquiao is. He's aware. One of the things that Floyd is very good at is knowing which buttons to push. He's a master psychologically in that fight build-up. He knows he's going to wash off Manny Pacquiao, and Manny's just this kind of serene personality. He's not going to let it get to him, and he'll just smile back at him. So what's the point? Why we use his energy on that? Let's use it instead on figuring out how to beat the guy.
More pad work here with Uncle Roger. Those kidney punches are legal, behind the back, purely for histrionics and showcasing his skills and his talent. All the cameras, everyone intently watching every move he makes, every punch he delivers.
It's a strange world at times, isn't it, Maro? I tell you, it's an incredible thing. I don't know about you, I work out, I try to not have anybody watch me at all. It's all a little bit embarrassing. And then here you have this guy just going through the motions. It must feel strange at times when you're at this level and you have 200 people in your gym just watching you do what is for you basically an incredibly light work.
And with Muhammad Ali being the self-appointed greatest, and a man who, of course, became a global icon, and what he did for the sport, and what he did as a heavyweight, moving like a welterweight, the speed, the jab, and all of his attributes. Floyd Mayweather at 38 is still the man, mythical pound for pound. At 38, Muhammad Ali was a shell of himself and should never have fought Larry Holmes, let's face it.
Well, and there you go. Look, and that's one of the things that Floyd will always say when people would say to him, oh, you're not in exciting fights, you don't have, you're not like Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward. And he's pretty clear about it. He's like, I'm not doing this for you, I'm doing this for my kids. And the reason that I am here is because I don't take this much punishment. He is a master defensive fighter. That is why he is here, guys. So we're in a lot of wars. They're not going to be here at 38. And just also the extra levels of nutritioning and conditioning that you have now, and the Floyd adheres to. Look,
But it's an art form. The defense, I mean, when you look, and I've been watching tapes as we prepare for this fight and looking at what Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker was able to accomplish, what Willie Pep, maybe the greatest defensive fighter, was able to accomplish, Nicolino Loche. I mean, defense can be an art form, and it can be beautiful to watch.
Yeah, and the interesting thing with Floyd, right, I think the only guy who matches him in terms of in-ring brilliance in this generation is the guy who's now my HBO colleague, Roy Jones. The difference is that Roy was always relying so much on his incredible reflexes.
Right, and hand speed,
exactly.
second to none.
Exactly, so as he got older and that went down just a little bit, then he became more vulnerable. Floyd has, even as he sort of lost a little bit, he was always very technically sound. So he had that incredible physical ability. He clearly has the skills to see things coming, to slow things down that other people don't have. But he's also just very technically smart. You very rarely, if ever, see Floyd. Floyd's always balanced. He's always a very compact fighter. He makes himself a very small target, partly, to make it very difficult to hit him, but also because he's so perfectly poised and perfectly balanced. And that means he's always in a position to strike back. You very rarely see Floyd in a position where, when the other guy has finished fighting, he's not in a position to hit back.
His greatest attribute, well chronicled, the ability to make those adjustments, the ability to take what his opponent does best and use it against him, make him fight his own fight. In looking at this fight against Manny Pacquiao, would you agree that he has more adjustments in his disposal than a Manny Pacquiao? What I'm saying is, when it does come to crunch time, who has the edge in terms of making the adjustments?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see not who has the plan A and the plan B, but who has the plan E, F, and G, right? And that is going to be the intriguing thing. I think that probably going into it, most people will feel that Manny's probably got that plan A to put Floyd on the metaphorical back foot initially. That probably his key is to keep changing his game so that Floyd can't adapt to it, because what is going to happen once Floyd adapts to him? Because that's been part of Manny Pacquiao's success, is he's incredibly hard to figure out. He's incredibly hard to predict. He'll come in and he'll throw 3 punches, and then he's over there and he's throwing 4, and then he's throwing 1, and not like a lot of guys. So if Floyd is able to figure out a guy like that, then that's obviously not going to augur very well for Manny.
Feints and the movement.
Yeah.
Because Mayweather's timing, second to none. It really is going to be the nuances and really the art of boxing that will be on display. Of course, everyone wants to see the fireworks. Everyone wants a definitive ending to this fight. When we look at knockouts, the last time Manny Pacquiao finished someone win, maybe his best performance against Miguel Cotto, that really set in motion the negotiations for this fight that took over half a decade to materialize. For Floyd Mayweather, this, Victor Ortiz, 2011, under somewhat dubious circumstances. Protect yourself at all times. Okay, whatever, he stopped him. Before that, though, was back in 2007, using that vaunted check left hook to dispose of Ricky Hatton. Right now, as we just talk to everyone and we're here in this atmosphere, what are the chances of a knockout come May 2nd, do you feel?
I don't think that it's probably the most likely scenario. I actually think, as I thought when they were first scheduled to fight, that even though when they were first slated to fight, Pacquiao was the one who was knocking everyone out, Floyd wasn't, that I thought the most likely scenario was either that Manny would just overwhelm and outpoint Floyd, or that Floyd would steer him onto a right hand and knock him out. That ended up being what Juan Manuel Marquez did to him. And so, Floyd is the slightly bigger guy, actually the substantially bigger guy. He might have the more one-punch power right now, more than Manny does. So
that's really what struck me when we saw them at the press conference in Los Angeles. Of course, the footage of them at the basketball game, and then, of course, they met in Manny's hotel suite after the game. But seeing them on that stage, and again, you look at the size difference, 1.5 inches, and that 5-inch reach advantage. And we've seen Manny Pacquiao overcome bigger, big odds throughout his career, facing bigger men, Oscar De La Hoya, Miguel Cotto, so on and so forth. It's going to play an interesting role, I believe, in how Floyd is able to use that to his advantage and stay at that distance, because the fight on the inside, as we saw with Maidana, as we've seen with Miguel Cotto pushing him to the ropes, I'm going to be very interested to see what Manny Pacquiao is able to do, because his speed, his unorthodox nature, and those angles.
Yeah.
The angles that he uses.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this earlier, that, you know, both these guys, they've seen and fought just about everybody, but neither of them has fought a guy like this.
Right.
I mean, each guy is so unique in his own particular way. I mean, you look at how technically strong Floyd is and how he's been able to dispatch everybody. There really hasn't been anybody like Manny Pacquiao. Nobody with that explosiveness and speed and unpredictability, and now so much more than when we first saw him. When, you know, you go back and you look at those early Manny Pacquiao fights, even the first fight with Juan Manuel Marquez, the first fight with Eric Morales, he was a one-handed fighter. He's just going around the ring chasing guys with his left hand. He's so much more an accomplished boxer now as well, to go with that natural, overwhelming physical ability.
And there is Papa Floyd Mayweather Sr. watching with vested interest, of course, as he sees his son, his only son, Floyd Mayweather Jr., continue to work the pads. What about that? Of course, Freddie Roach, again, I always get a kick out of Freddie when it comes to the trash talking of mind games, and his comments about he wants Floyd Mayweather Sr. in the corner because it takes him longer to give the advice to Floyd other than Roger. I mean, that's stuff that's for the billboard, right? The bulletin board in the dressing room.
And you know what's interesting is actually to get back to your earlier point and question about the lack of trash talking from Floyd. It's obviously he said it throughout the camp because it's not coming back from Floyd Sr. either. He's not doing very much.
I think he's been told by Floyd too.
Exactly.
Is, you know, let's keep it quiet. And when Floyd Mayweather Sr. was asked about the fight itself, he feels that his son is going to destroy Manny. He feels that Manny comes in with the jab and that's it. He's on his toes and he's going to be perfectly set up for the counter right hand. Now, a guy who's been helping Floyd Mayweather Jr. throughout the camp and someone who knows Manny Pacquiao very well is the strength and conditioning coach, Alex Ariza. Alex, talk about your involvement in this, the biggest fight of the generation, and the fact that you do know both athletes now very well.
Yeah, it's a pretty good advantage for myself, but you know, coming in and working with Floyd, we didn't really try to change things too dramatically. We just wanted to do, you know, little small changes on some of the things that he felt that he was lacking in. So we're just looking to make little improvements and small increments in all areas of Floyd. So hopefully everything will complement all his skills that he has already.
How did your working relationship materialize? How did it come to fruition?
After the Maidana 1 fight, there was a party between Robert Garcia and myself, and so Floyd sent an invitation and said, hey, I've been interested in maybe looking to try some new things and try to take my game to the next level, which is usually unusual for an athlete at his caliber and where he is already. I think it says a lot to the kind of dedication that he has to the sport. Usually fighters that are, or athletes in general, that have so much and have already done so much, usually don't want to try new things. They don't like to be put in vulnerable positions. They don't like to challenge themselves anymore physically or mentally. But Floyd is just a testament to the kind of athlete that he is.
Can you shed some light on that? What kind of uncomfortable positions have you put him in?
Well, we started doing a lot of swimming. We started doing some track work. We started doing things that he normally hasn't done in the past. And just, again, trying to sharpen up some of the older skills that he had with the footwork and the leg speed, and just, again, trying to complement everything at once.
Floyd's run out. A lot of fighters between fights, they'll blow up, they won't necessarily pay a lot of attention to their conditioning, and they need guys like yourself to come in and get them into shape and get the weight off before they even, you know, do the necessary work that they have to do. Floyd isn't like that, right? He feels like he's someone who's very different, who is doing his best to be in his best possible shape at all times.
Again, I think that goes to the testament of the kind of athlete that he is, because in my experience, a lot of fighters, when they get to this point of this level of success, they don't want to try new things. They like to be complacent, the same routines and all that. And for me, that was very unusual. I thought Floyd was going to be the same way, because he's very controlling. He's the boss of everything. So for him to give me just a small bit of that control, you know, allowing me to change, you know, take him into the pool, take him to the track, allowing me to be in control of time, pace, tempo, and rhythm, things like that, that just shows, again, you know, just the dedication and how important this fight is to him, or how he's viewing and his approach to it is.
How do we discern the differences from your perspective, being so heavily involved in both camps? You spent, what, 4 years with Manny Pacquiao, right? 6 years. When you now come into this camp in preparation for this fight, are you able at all to shed light on maybe the intangible attributes that each possess that you think will be the difference? Like, what is the big difference between the two?
I think in this, and for me, I mean, usually the fighters that I dealt with, you know, we rely on conditioning, volume, aggressiveness. But in this case, I have a guy who has a tremendous level of skill. So being able to bring that addition to it, the conditioning level, and getting them to that peak physically, I think is going to be the telling tale between the two.
Are you part of the psychological warfare? Is there? Did maybe Floyd bring you on just to play some of those mind games with Manny?
No, there's no really. It's always like that, but there's no really mind game to play. I think we've all heard the rhetoric that comes out of it. That's been the same thing over and over and over.
What do you say about all of that? Because yeah, Freddie's made some accusations, and what is your standing right now? I know you took some legal action against him.
Yeah, well, Freddie's irrelevant, and I get it. He's a guy at the end of his career. He's trying to stay in the mix. He's trying to stay relevant, but this is about the fighters. It's not about the coaches. So we'll let the fighters do the talking. I'm not hearing anything from Manny. I hear Freddie because he likes to stay in the papers. He likes to stay relevant, but that's Freddie. He wants to be famous more than he wants to be a trainer.
All right, let's get back to the new school of training then. Cryotherapy. What about the cryosauna? What was that your idea?
Yeah, we wanted to start doing some things, especially at this level in this stage of his career, to help the recovery time. So we're taking more breaks, we're taking more time off, and we're using some other outside methods to help that recovery process.
So there's a lot of talk about, well, is Floyd finally at the age of 38? Is he slowing down? Is he undergoing the kind of necessary adjustments to aging that we all do? Do you feel that he's quite open about saying, you know what, I'm not the guy that I was at 34. I'm not the guy that I was at 32. I'm still probably a lot better than just about everybody else at 38, but I need to adjust. My body is changing. Everything about me is changing, and I need to adjust accordingly.
Of course, I think that's really the main reason that he brought me here. I mean, remember, when he brought me here, the Pacquiao fight wasn't even discussed. I came here during the Maidana second 2 fight. So he wanted to change some things as far as his conditioning and physical program. So, and I think, bringing me along and changing some things with the diet and adding supplements to the diet and in addition to all the conditioning that we're doing, I think that's just him trying to sharpen the tools and get sharp and stay on top of the game, really.
Has he increased his power? And if so, how?
I think he has increased his power, but I always think, if you look back at Floyd's career, I mean, Floyd and I have known each other way back. I had Diego Corrales when we fought, so I got a little bit of history with him, and Floyd has always been a big puncher. I think what sacrificed was his hands. So we're just trying to build a more physical Floyd Mayweather for this fight than we've seen in the past, and I just don't see the same physicality that Manny once possessed. So I just don't see it on that side. So I think that's going to be really our advantage.
How do you maintain his hand health? How does he maintain? Do you know what I mean? He's had issues in the past. Those are the tools of his trade. Can you do anything to?
Unfortunately, no. That's really a genetic thing. But he's been protecting him. He's got a great guy now, Bob, who's doing his hand wraps now, who's rubbing him customarily in a fashion that makes Floyd feel comfortable and punching with power. So what I've seen in sparring and what I've been hearing, the buzz around here is that he is looking a little bit stronger and hitting harder.
Are you expecting him then to maybe dig his toes in the canvas a little bit more and maybe start putting a little bit more weight behind his punches? He wants to make a statement here on May 2nd, doesn't he?
I think so. I think Manny is going to end up dictating that, because I think Manny will come out with his usual program, and once he feels the kind of physicality that Mayweather really is. He's a lot bigger guy than people anticipate. I remember seeing him on the scales against Maidana the first time. We came in at 168 pounds the following night, and I saw Floyd as a much bigger person. And I was like, Jesus, but he's really a physical guy, physically big guy and strong, and as you can see, he's very muscular. So I think that's going to be our advantage. I think once Manny gets a taste of the power, I think we'll see who's going to run and who's going to come forward.
Now, I know you help him with strength and conditioning, but the mental game is so paramount in this sport. Do you have those philosophical discussions with Floyd as well, and what's he like when it comes to that kind of stuff?
100%. I think one of the biggest discussions that we had was getting in the water, because I think water tells the truth about a person. The ability to not be able to breathe when you want to breathe. I told him, I said, this is never going to be easy. You're going to drink water, you're going to throw up, you're going to come out dizzy, you're going to feel like fainting, and it's ugly the whole way through. It's 40 minutes of hell. But he says, that's again, it's surprising to me because he challenges himself that. But I think water is more of a mental thing, because when you can't breathe, when you want to breathe, it makes you start to wonder what you want to do. You either want to stop what you're doing, or you're going to push through it and figure it out, compose yourself, and go through it. And I think that I translate that to the ring. There's nowhere to grab onto, no timeouts, no breaks, no nothing. So when things aren't going your way, you better have the mental capacity to straighten it out, compose yourself, and make through it. But I think that's always been Floyd's advantage. He's always been mentally able to break his opponents down.
What do you attribute that? I mean, we'd say it's a gift, so maybe that's just it. It cannot be explained. But the fact that he says, and we see it, that he can feel when someone's about to throw a punch. Have you ever dealt with something like that?
No, you know. And I hate talking like this because I don't believe in sixth senses, or maybe, I don't know, maybe that he just knows it, or he can feel it, he can sense it, but I've seen him do things not looking, and he tells Roger to, just open up with whatever you want, and I see him catching it, moving it through, and it's just really unique in its own way, but I think it's just, he can just sense it, he has a feel for it.
I'm curious, you were talking about him allowing you into the camp, and, you having some authority on timing and some of this kind of stuff. Is he no longer having the sort of ad hoc, it's 3 a.m., I've decided I'm going to go and run for 10 miles kind of a thing? Is it much more disciplined and structured, or is it still same old Floyd? Still like, you'll just keep on doing that?
Still same old Floyd, which doesn't bother me at all, because he's just nocturnal. He's just reversed in hours. So, we get here at 3 o'clock, we're done out of here by 5, and then we go and do our thing at the gym at 2, 3 in the morning, and then I get the rest of all the way to the next day. So for me, there's a benefit to it. I don't have to deal with the traffic, I don't have to deal with the mass amounts of people in the gym, or entourages or anything like that. So it's just a lot of one-on-one time, and it allows us to get comfortable and build a rapport within each other and have the confidence.
How does Floyd just chill? I mean, we see the videos, we know he enjoys his lifestyle that he has earned, but do you see anything about his personality or the way he is outside of the gym surprise you or impress you more?
I think I had the same view as everybody else did. I was from the outside looking in, and I just thought it was just all this craziness all the time. But he's such a simple, down-to-earth person. He rents out movie theaters to watch the new movies that are coming out. He loves watching basketball. That's one of his biggest hobbies. And then sometimes it's just a normal barbecue at the house. But I think that's his camp mentality right now. So he has his close-knit friends, his close people that are around him, and he sticks to that basic routine day in and day out. No craziness or anything like that.
What'd you think of what we're watching here today? He seems to be just taking it in, basking in all the attention as usual, and as we say, another day at the office.
Well, very unusual that he's taken it this light from what I've been a part of. So I think he's just putting on a show for the cameras and just enjoying all this media blitz. I'm kind of surprised at this.
Maybe all for show, no go for this one.
No go for too much. I don't see too much coming out of him right now, but he's working. He's going through the motions.
Alex, one more question for me. I'll let Kieran ask another one if he wants, and we will let you go. We appreciate your time. When it comes to strength and conditioning, when it comes to training, and I've covered kickboxing, mixed martial arts, and we see the inherent dangers and the risks and all of these injuries, and it happens in boxing as well. What can be done to make sparring, what can be done to make training safer? Is it less sparring?
It's like you don't have, like what we do. We don't do the conventional, 8, 10, 12 pyramid of rounds. You just go by feel. You go by what you. Oh,
he seems to.
Ritualistic.
Yes.
The ritual of marking Manny out. But no, you control yourself, and when your body needs to rest, you get that rest in. And as far as the boxing part, unfortunately, it's a contact sport. Things are going to happen, and there's going to be black eyes and bloody noses and split lips and all the other stuff. But you don't notice here in Mayweather's gym, it's customary not to wear the full face head guard. It's more of the old style, Olympic style, open face, smaller gloves. So it's a little bit more realistic too. Floyd likes to, he wants to get hit, he doesn't want to have a false sense of security that the bar gives you.
There are rumors or reports that Zab Judah did hit him in sparring and maybe knocked him down. Are you able to shed any light? I know, there's in-house secrets, but has he been hurt in sparring?
No, 100% no, but I'm not going to say he hasn't been hit. In sparring, and these guys wouldn't be doing their job. He's got some really young guys in here, some very experienced guys in here. This is not their first rodeo, and
if if this crowd of media now is they're incorporating the Manny Pacquiao strategy here. They're cornering us.
They're cornering us, right.
Kieran, go ahead.
So finally, Alex, before we let you go, if it's indeed possible to get out of here, how do you think things are going to evolve as you know Manny Pacquiao as well as you do, you know Floyd as well as you do now?
For me, it's simple. I look at the history of I look at the last 4 opponents and the last 4 performances. And unless I saw something different, a dramatic change in what Manny was doing to prepare himself for the biggest fight, the way Marquez prepared himself for the fight with Manny on the 4th fight. He brought in a strength and conditioning coach, very good strength and conditioning coach, Memo Heredia. He changed his complete program, focused more on strength and conditioning, less on boxing, because he's not going to learn anything more boxing-wise. But what he needed was to develop power, speed, explosiveness, small increments in small areas. And that night it culminated into one big thing. So I don't see that over there. I see the same thing, the same routine. It's very redundant. So I can't expect anything different. Talking is talking, but we're training to do what we want to do on May 2nd.
One final question I got to ask you. There's been talk again of the state of Manny's calves. That was always a problem when you were with him, and you're hearing that again. Does that surprise you?
Actually, contrary. When I got there, I had 6 fights with Manny, and we didn't have any calf problems.
It's only been subsequently.
Right. So it didn't come until he was weaning off the strength and conditioning program, and Freddie was starting to get more involved and trying to interfere with that. So I just think it's, you have to be smart, and you have to look back and put egos aside and put your fighter in front and say, look, why weren't we for 6 fights not having calf problems for the biggest fights of his career? David Diaz, Oscar De La Hoya, Hatton, Miguel Cotto, Claudio, Margarito, 6 fights, no calf problems. Why all of a sudden are we having it? So you got to look at that.
Alex, thank you so very much indeed.
Very good job, Alex Ariza. Thank you very much, strength and conditioning coach for Floyd Money Mayweather, who continues to work the speed bag. And some mind games being played there, obviously defacing Manny Pacquiao's.
And a side of the poster being settled in our interview. So.
Yes, yeah, do you see that? And we'll get the other side tomorrow.
That we will.
For the Wild Card Gym in Hollywood, again, over 200 media outlets represented, and we're not lying. We are the subject of this wave of people as Floyd comes closer and closer now, continuing his open workout in front of this huge throng in anticipation of the biggest fight of this generation. It is finally going down on Saturday, May 2nd at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Floyd Money Mayweather at 47-0 with 26 wins inside the distance against Manny Pacquiao, 57-5-2 with 38 wins via knockout or technical knockout. And so Alex told us, this is not what they're used to seeing, and not surprising, right? It's not gonna show all those cards here today.
Yeah. To finish off most of us, but just to get a little spread up, and you can tell there's sort of big beam on his face there as he just got ready to do his crunches. And I mean, look, you get this kind of a crowd watching you go through your routine like this. He's basking in it. He's in the limelight. He loves this,
and he's a guy who really puts his money where his mouth is. Mr. Mulvaney, $25,000 mouth guard, including real, authentic $100 bills, gold flex diamonds. I guess if you can afford it, why not? It's he says it's protected his smile for 19 years, but 25 grand for a mouth guard.
Well, I just hope that money has good absorbent properties, because whatever else, at some point he's going to get smacked hard in the mouth by Manny Pacquiao. So it doesn't matter how expensive it is; it better be effective at doing its job.
When we talked to Robert Garcia, Marcos Maidana's trainer, prior to their first meeting last May, he told us that Marcos Maidana would have to deliver 100 punches around in order to defeat Money Mayweather. In his career, in Mayweather's career, only one person has been able to average more than 100 punches per round. November 2001, Jesus Chavez averaged just over 102 punches per round, still lost the fight. Does Manny Pacquiao have to... Manny Pacquiao almost does that anyway, but does he have to average 100 punches around to succeed?
It's going to be an interesting balance for Manny in that he needs to throw enough punches. First of all, he needs to get inside. He needs to be able to get in range. If he's able to do that, then he needs to, you know, throw enough just to prevent Floyd from throwing anything back. One of the things that Floyd does so well, guys go in there with a game plan, knowing that they just have to throw, they have to hit him anywhere. It doesn't matter. Don't go looking for that perfect shot against Floyd, because you're not going to land it. Just try to throw as many punches as you possibly can. But what he ends up doing is he's so powerful and sharp with his counter punches that he starts to make guys think. And you see their punch output tends to drop as the fight goes on, and they end up thinking too much and following him around. That's what Manny Pacquiao can't do. Whatever else happens, he has to do his best to fight his game, which is to move in and out, not give a very obvious, consistent range that Floyd can use, not throw an obvious and consistent number of punches, come in at different angles, be inconsistent, and make it very difficult for Floyd to figure him out. And that's going to be coming in and throwing in a lot of punches. That's going to be moving out and waiting for Floyd. That's also going to be darting back in and throwing a lot more punches again. He's going to have to change it up as much as he possibly can.
The welterweight division, the money division, and yes, the pun is always intended when it comes to yours truly, Mr. Mulvaney, but he's a 5-division champion as Floyd Mayweather, has won 10 world titles, lineal champion in 4 different weight classes, just like Manny Pacquiao. Pacquiao, the only 8-division champion in boxing history. And we talk about the alphabet soup, we talk about the boxing politics. Yes, this is for the welterweight championship of the world, but more than that, for both of them, it is about their legacy. For Floyd, you mentioned it, it's about protecting that O. If he wants to chase down Rocky Marciano's 49-0 record, which would happen if he were to run the table in his Showtime contract, which ends after this fight, one more fight after this one. So when you look at it, what do you think goes through their minds when it comes to that? Because they really, this is it. This is the fight everyone has been waiting for. There's no room really for error. And yet, people also want to see a show. They want to be entertained.
Yeah, well, I think unquestionably for Floyd, I think he, obviously, number one, is keeping that 0. Look, there were 2 different sets of initials that are around this gym. One is TMT, the other is TBE, right? He likes to think that he's the best ever, and a lot of people would take a lot of issue with that. He's the best of this generation, but not necessarily the best ever.
Well, he has a chance to rubber stamp that, because if Pacquiao wins, then he would be considered the best of his generation.
Right, exactly. But for him, he puts as evidence of his being the best ever that 0 in his record, which doesn't matter, of course. Sugar Ray Robinson, by the time he was done, had lost
undefeated at welterweight, but still had lost a lot of fights, like you say.
Exactly.
And for my money, still the best ever.
Exactly. And so for him, what Floyd has to do, he's going to want to protect that 0. But at the same time, I think he wants to do so in as spectacular a way as he possibly can. And, I think he actually feels like he can put on a show. He's not going to put himself at risk necessarily, but I think he feels pretty confident that he's going to be able to put on a show here.
Well, we're not going to be on camera, but the show has just gotten a lot better looking, my friend, as we're about to welcome accomplished rapper and actress Little Kim to the festivities. Little Kim, thank you so much for joining us. And you know what? I have to think about, it's all about the Benjamins, money, power, and respect. That kind of symbolizes what we're dealing with, right?
That's right, money, power, respect. The money team, you already know that goes hand in hand. And music definitely goes hand in hand with boxing, especially Floyd being one of my best friends, if not my best friend, because we've been together for a long time. So, one thing I noticed is that music motivates him when he's working out, when he's in the gym, when he's, working out for the, training for a fight. So
we're getting a little sense of some of the tunes. It's a little bit chill right now, but what kind of music does he like to usually work out to?
You know what? He mixes it up, Sometimes he likes turn-up music. Sometimes he takes it old school. Sometimes he takes it a little disco. Sometimes he mixes it up. Sometimes he's old school hip-hop. Sometimes he's hip-hop in and out, so,
What attracts you to all of this? I know you're close friends, but what do you like most about all of this? Are you a big boxing fan?
I'm a huge boxing fan. Actually, boxing is my favorite sport. So I can watch boxing all day, but watching Floyd is like the best, because to me, he is the best boxer to ever do it. Don't get me wrong, I grew up watching and loving Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali, all those people, but Floyd is very special, and this fight is going to be super, super magnetic, super special. It's going to be epic.
a lot of us who kind of on the periphery feel that there's a different vibe about camp this time, that he realizes how serious this is and how much is at stake. Are you feeling that?
Is it, say it again?
Is there an extra degree of seriousness about this camp?
Yes, there's an extra degree of seriousness for this fight, and he's taken it very serious. He's training intensely, and to me, that motivates me, you know, and that makes me just know that he's going to give us something different for this fight. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal, and he's going to show us something that I don't think we've ever seen, and that's why he's the champ.
We've seen Justin Bieber and Lil Wayne accompany him to the ring, and Triple H. Are we going to see Lil Kim on May 2nd?
Of course. I'm going to be there supporting my friend all the way to the fullest, and I'm going to be cheering. You're probably going to hear me the loudest.
What else is, what have you been up to?
I'm working. I'm always working. And actually, I have a show on May 3rd out here after the fight. It's at the House of Blues with R. Kelly.
Oh, awesome. Well, Lil Kim, we appreciate you stopping by, and continued success in your career. It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yes, TMT. What?
Lil Kim adding some of her thoughts to the festivities as she is supporting her friend Floyd Money Mayweather, and of course Floyd has many celebrity friends, as does Manny Pacquiao. They transcend the sport that way, and we've seen Manny on Jimmy Kimmel, and of course Floyd with the people we just mentioned. It's a kind of an odd pairing at times with Justin Bieber and stuff, but I think there's going to be an opportunity on Saturday, May 2nd, when we look around the MGM Grand Garden Arena. I think all we're going to see are high rollers and celebrities at those prices.
It's funny. It's like you mentioned the reality show earlier, and it's like 1 minute you turn around and there's Little Kim, and then you turn around and there's David Hasselhoff. You're like, okay, it's like a Jeopardy question. What is the scenario in which David Hasselhoff and Little Kim wind up in the same room together?
Why do you think these kinds of fights, and prize fighting, it's really endemic to it, that the big fights attract all the beautiful people?
Look, I mean, remember Muhammad Ali fought Joe Frazier. Frank Sinatra was the ringside photographer for Life magazine. There's just something, I think it's primal. The whole nature of boxing is such that it is primal. We all love sports, we love big events, but at the same time, there's one thing being the best quarterback, there's one thing being the best tennis player. When you're the baddest man on the planet, as Mike Tyson used to call himself, you know, that's how it is. You know, look, my HBO colleague Max Kellerman always says something to the effect of, you know, if you've got a bunch of people watching a pickup basketball game on the street corner and a fight breaks out, what are people going to watch? They're going to watch the fight. And there's just something really primal. There's something about that element of power and authority that comes from the big world title fight.
The speed bag continues to be used by Floyd Mayweather as we are bringing you live coverage of his open workout, a sea of humanity, the media from around the world. And we've been told that this could go on for a while, because once Floyd gets started, he tends to just do his thing, and this is one of the reasons that he is on top of the food chain in boxing at the age of 38. And yes, as we all know, Kieran, you can turn old overnight, and we saw glimpses of it maybe in the first Marcos Maidana fight. We've seen Manny Pacquiao return from a devastating knockout loss to Juan Manuel Marquez, make changes, and again, we will get more into his story tomorrow at the Wildcard Gym in Hollywood. But Floyd doing what he's doing, and now at this stage, what do you think the next couple of weeks are going to be like for him?
Well, I mean, he's in this very unique, controlled environment, and he is the person who controls that environment. He has everything around him just as he wants it. He never has to do anything he doesn't want to do. He doesn't need to be stressed out. And if you're a prize fighter, well, if you're anybody, you want to be in that situation, right? I'd love to be in that situation. But as a professional prize fighter, when so much of the game is getting yourself right psychologically, not having any disturbances, not getting out of your routine, not having your rhythm, the fact that it is here, and that's why being at the MGM Grand was vital for Floyd. He insisted it had to be at the MGM Grand because it's in his hometown. He can keep doing his own thing. Exactly, comfort level. Manny Pacquiao is happy enough to acquiesce. Manny's also very superstitious, likes to keep his routine going. That's why, for example, he'll be staying at the Mandalay Bay, not the MGM Grand, because he always stays at the Mandalay Bay.
And speaking of superstitions, we really haven't addressed this yet, but it is a big part of, and in many ways, Floyd Mayweather ahead of the curve when it comes to combat sports and the Olympic-style random drug testing with the urine and blood. The thing that derailed the initial negotiations, maybe because of the superstition, where Manny didn't want blood taken from his body so close to fight time. Here we are now, USADA doing the random testing where urine and blood blood is being removed, and something I think that has to be addressed in all of combat sports, the scourge of steroids, and talk a little bit about that, the fact that, you know, these guys have stood up and are doing what is necessary to maintain the integrity of this fight.
I mean, look, obviously you're an MMA guy, and it's been a huge issue for a long time. It's really coming into a thing. And look, it is. It's. I think a lot of us, myself included, were a little slow to fully comprehend its importance in the sport and the degree to which it needed to be addressed.
Shouldn't it be mandatory for all of these championship fights? Okay, maybe the prelims. I would like to see it for every licensed fighter needs to be randomly drug tested.
Right, and I think a lot of it is the issue of who's the person who's going to control that. We have such a strange thing. We have this patchwork of commissions.
Right.
If a commission is strong, then maybe a fighter doesn't want to go there, and we'll go to a weak commission instead. It is the strange Wild West nature of boxing that makes it, particularly the NFL can mandate it. It can just go ahead and just go and do that. Roger Goodell can say that. There's no one in boxing who can do that.
There have been power brokers in boxing, though, too. And when I was doing a podcast, I had Bernard Hopkins on the show, and we talked about it. He said he was willing, that the Golden Boy promotion, he's part of, that they were going to put up millions of dollars to maybe try to implement more of this random drug. And it's going to take all, like you say, all entities. And because of the patchwork of commissions and the fact that there's no national identity or entity for commissions, I think that is something that has also hurt the sport of boxing. And here we are now, where we have the PBC on all these networks, and of course this fight, which has transcended the sport and is going to be the biggest sporting event of the year. It's something that needs to be continued into the discussion in order to just carry on, because this is combat sports is dangerous. People lose their lives.
Right, and even here, we have a situation where the fighters are picking the drug testing program that they want to work with, right? And in any other sport, that would be considered absolutely bizarre and a clear way to try and get around things. Whereas here in boxing, we think, wow, this is great. This is the way forward. It's fantastic. So boxing, certainly relative to a lot of sports, a long, long, long way to go.
Yeah, there's the USADA, of course, respected Travis Tygart, Margaret Goodman with the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association. So it's good that we're having the conversation. It's good that Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao have agreed to Olympic-style random drug testing. And I just cannot wait, my man, for Saturday, May 2nd, MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, when it is finally going to take place. And here now, Floyd working on his neck strength.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things also that's really underappreciated with boxers. Particularly your ability to, look, Floyd's got a really good chin. We've seen him buzzed a couple times.
Including by Marcos Maidana at the end of the third round of the second fight.
Mosley obviously cracked him better than anybody, really, probably cast him. DeMarcus Corley, one of his sparring partners, caught him pretty well. But it's a sign of, what a good chin he has, that we can count on the fingers of one hand and still have a couple of digits left over the number of times that he has been caught like that. And part of it, obviously, is his tremendous defensive skill. But a part of it also is the ability to absorb that punch when you do get hit.
Right.
And that's why neck strength is so important. With guys like Mike Tyson, for example, who also was able to take an enormous amount of punishment, largely that was because his head was just bolted onto his shoulders. So yeah, all of these things, very important aspects of being a professional prize fighter.
Interesting, Mike Tyson, of course, involved in those big fights with Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis back in 2002, when he was at the tail end of his career, obviously. But when you talk about Mike Tyson, he is obviously weighed in. He's a student of this game and a historian. It's amazing how much he knows about boxing history. He feels that Manny Pacquiao could overwhelm Floyd Mayweather, and that's something he mentioned about Floyd in the early rounds, the fact that he warns him about being defensive and picking his shots. And that's interesting to me, because in talking to Leonard Ellerby, and we've heard Floyd before too, what happens if they collide in the center of the ring and go toe-to-toe, my man? Manna from heaven.
Exactly. That's what we want to happen. That's exactly it, right? That's that scene that you have at the end of the movie where the two guys go and they both wind up. Exactly, right? They both wind up, and there it is. But no, we're actually going to see them swapping punches, and possibly for 12 rounds. Floyd getting his wraps cut off now. I'm not sure if that means that we've seen what we're going to see, or if he's going to skip some ropes, or what he's going to do for the rest of the evening. He may feel that he's entertained us enough and been entertained enough by entertaining us that it's all enough attention for one evening, and it's time to move on to something else. He could probably actually manage to get 200 media to go watch him as he went to sit and have a Chinese meal around here in Chinatown in Las Vegas.
He goes for his organic fat burger. Maybe a shameless plug there. Maybe we could get a free meal from Fat Burger now. But that's something. He does have his snack days. And there was another video release, over $300 on snacks, man. I mean, he is so committed and dedicated to not only the craft, but the diet. Obviously, you have to be physical, but still enjoys himself.
I have snack days too. They're the ones with Y in them.
Well, we've talked about the high stakes, all of the money. I joke with Little Kim, one of her hit songs, it's all about the Benjamins, and that's what it is, beaucoup Benjamins. And according to our friends at Forbes, Mayweather's earned a total of $420 million in his career already. Pacquiao has earned $335 million. Mayweather has 14.2 million career pay-per-view buys. Pacquiao, 13.6 million. Floyd has broken 1 million pay-per-view buys 7 times in his career. Pacquiao has done over 1 million 6 times. And oh yeah, Floyd has generated $860 million in his career in pay-per-view revenue. Pacquiao's generated $755 million. And Kieran, what this tells me is that come on Saturday, May 2nd, they're both going to have generated over $1 billion in revenue. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's the kind of figures that are almost impossible to kind of conceptualize, really. I mean, we talked about dreaming about that much money, and I try to dream about that much money, but it's so beyond. Even in an era of sports where teams are awash with money, where athletes are signing massive 10-year contracts, it's still on a whole other league entirely from all of that. It's just hard to really wrap your head around a little bit.
Well, the wraps have been taken off Floyd Money Mayweather's hands, and you know, you talk about money, and they say that it's the root of all evil. The last time I checked my wallet, I've been a very good boy, Kieran, and we're all anticipating the major event that's coming up on Saturday, May 2nd, and again, just over 2.5 weeks away. Now that Floyd Mayweather has wrapped up his workout, the rest of the time period will, of course, be about relaxation, because that's also very important. The mental game and the psychological aspect. And we both know where these two have come from. Floyd, born into the boxing business, but still had a hardscrabble background with his mother, with his father being incarcerated. Manny Pacquiao, we'll talk much more about tomorrow. Growing up in abject poverty in the Philippines, so much so, one of 6 siblings, he was forced to leave his home at 14 and take part in underground boxing matches for $2 and sending $1 home. So they have worked they've worked to get to where they are, and on Saturday they will determine who is the best of their generation.
Yeah, and that's a lot of where the drive comes from. With very, very rare exceptions, you don't actually have a situation where fighters are coming out of college and deciding that this is what they want to do for a living. These are guys who have really had to literally fight, who have had to claw their way up from nothing. They have a lot now. They have more than we could ever possibly imagine, but they had nothing, almost less than nothing to begin with. And that's, you know, when you have that kind of hunger, that kind of drive, that's what sustains you.
Hey, Mayweather wasn't the only one who put in a workout today. It's been a pleasure working with you, my man, Kieran Mulvaney. And of course, he will be back with me tomorrow when we will be at the Wildcard Gym in Hollywood, California for Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao's open workout at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 Pacific. We hope you've enjoyed this coverage of Floyd Mayweather's Media Day at the Mayweather Boxing Club in Las Vegas. For Kieran Mulvaney and all of our guests, I'm Mauro Ranallo. Thank you for watching. We'll see you Wednesday in Hollywood.
time. Two legends. One destiny. All roads end here. Mayweather-Pacquiao, May 2nd, live on pay-per-view. Mayweather-Pacquiao, Saturday, May 2nd, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, live on pay-per-view.